And welcome everybody to another episode of the Pulse of Fins Nation. I am your host, Louis Sung, and joining me as always is my co-host Ron Caniff, rocking the suit jacket, rocking the shades. He looks like he's a true member of the Florida sports media now.
I'm an NFL insider, guys. I'm an expert now because I have this on.
Yeah, exactly.
My avatar, I have a suit on, so that makes me an expert. That's how it works now, apparently.
Exactly.
So I wanted to be an expert too, so I thought I'd show up in this sports coat.
Everybody who it's all about dressing the part. You fake it till you make it, right, Ron?
Yeah, the only thing I didn't do was put NFL at the end of my handle.
You do have Ron. Oh no, you have Fins. That's right.
Right.
You used to have Ron, but didn't you used to have Ron Caniff NFL?
Yeah, I was trying to be something. Something I'm not.
Okay. So we got a lot of things to say today. We're going to get into all of the comments. We're going to get into as many of them as we can. And of course, we will be responding to the comment that was left in the actual previous video. That's something we always ask you guys to do. So leave a comment in the video down below if you are watching on YouTube. And always, of course, leave a like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. And before we get too far into it, let me just go ahead and once again shout out our sponsor. That is prizepicks.com. It's the revolutionary fantasy platform where you pick up to 5 different players across professional sports leagues, and you can choose the over or the under on those individual players' fantasy projections. You can choose Tua Tagovailoa to go over 0 yards passing, assuming he's going to play. That's why I say 0. Or you could just go ahead and say how many fantasy points is he going to have. You can choose from the NFL. You can choose the NBA. Is Bam Adebayo going to be getting 10 rebounds or more? You can choose the Major League Baseball League. Is Joe Judge going to hit 3 home runs or 4 in every single game that he plays? And of course, they will also give you some extra juicy offers for you to play with. So it's hard to justify not signing up considering they make it so easy for you to win. Just use the promo code 5, that's FIVE, and they will match up to $100 on your initial deposit when you first sign up. Again, that's promo code 5. Just spell that out. It's prizepicks.com, who we at 5 Reasons Sports are proud to have as our sponsors. Okay, so already the comments are pouring in. Alfredo Arteaga, who I'm told will be joining us in the second half. He's wearing his OnlyFins moderator uniform. That's right, OnlyFins. I haven't plugged that in a while. If you're looking for the best Dolphins talk on the planet, just go ahead and pop into the OnlyFins Discord. It's just $3 a month on Patreon that you're going to be getting the best Dolphins talk in all of the history of the world. Michael Borowski, no stress here. We got to win a couple of games and get healthy. Yeah, let's get into the comments already. So the comments are understandably all over the place, Ron. A lot of people aren't sweating it. A lot of people are extremely sweating it. A lot of people are kind of half and half. And then there are those who are kind of feeling that doom is upon us all and the Miami Dolphins need to destroy everything all over again. And we're going to get into some comments that kind of go through every single spectrum. I already see the comments that are coming in, and Dolphin714, remember the title of this video was, "Are the Dolphins being targeted?" This gentleman says, or lady, I don't know, maybe, what are you behind your handle? I don't know, we'll find out. Definitely being targeted. I saw other quarterbacks getting hit just the same, and no protocols were installed for them. NFL has a secret agenda to push certain teams towards the playoffs. That's, I imagine the marketing has a lot to do with it, yes, but I don't think they're going to go that far with it. That being said, I do believe the Dolphins are being targeted, if only because, and I said this on the video, Manny, I don't know if you can find it. If you can find the video that the Josh Moser put up of Teddy Bridgewater stumbling, that video that came up, if you can pull it up. So basically, I said this was retaliation against the Miami Dolphins for making the NFLPA look bad, because they were the ones who came out and said, oh, the Dolphins must have violated the protocol. They must have violated the protocol, because how can you justify letting Tua Tagovailoa go out there and do what happened to him on prime television, which, by the way, it was their fault that they kept replaying it over and over and over again. And so now that it comes out that, oh, actually, they did follow the protocol. Our protocol just sucks. So now we are going to make it so that the Miami Dolphins are going to be punished by the new protocols that we're putting into place. So you're the ones who forced us to do this. So you're the ones who are going to suffer as a result of it. So I'm going to go ahead and see if I can find the video myself real quick, because it honestly makes me extremely upset. Like, you have no idea how upset it really makes me to be watching this video and to see that there's nothing there. Ron, you watched the video. Everybody watched the video.
Yeah, I watched it a bunch.
There's nothing there. There is no stumble. There is like some independent spotter out there went ahead and said, "Oh, you know what? He must have done that. He got hurt. His head hit the ground really hard, and so we must remove him from the game." I'm just gonna go ahead and put it in there now for you, Manny, to go ahead and pull it up for us, please, just so everybody can get an idea. If there's anybody out there who has not seen the video yet, I want you to get a chance to actually take a look at it. So,
Are we just going to be quiet?
I know.
Are we waiting for the video?
Here's what I'm going to do. I have producer access. I'll go ahead and I'll pull it up really quickly.
Manny's cooking dinner.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll go ahead and I'll pull it up here. Just share setting. Share. Okay. Oh, there we go. Hi, Manny. Yeah, see, he hits the ground. Okay, fine, whatever. Sauce Gardner, do your little. So is it the fact that he got up slowly that is the part that got everybody upset? Is it the part that he was not like jogging off the field doing jumping jacks in midair after he got hit? I don't know. Because quite frankly, you watch this video all the way through, and aside from the fact that he was slow to get up, which of course you're going to be slow to get up. It's turf. So we've already heard the story about that, how it's like concrete under there, and you just got slammed to the ground by a guy. So there's the thumbs up. There's like, everything's fine. I'm good. No worries. See, thumbs up again. Yeah, I'm fine. Don't worry about it. Everything's fine. And then later, here they are getting told, oh, by the way, your quarterback, some independent nobody out there just went ahead and said, your quarterback, he has to leave the game now, and he's never coming back. Says who? Why?
Yeah, he's not. I mean, and the person who gets to make this decision now, they're not even doctors.
Exactly, right?
So we're making medical decisions with non-medical personnel
based off the television, which is exactly
based off
TV
or what they saw from the booth or wherever they are. I mean, bottom line is this: there's no way you can tell me it's a coincidence that the very first offensive play for the Miami Dolphins, that the quarterback was put out of the game, right, for the rest of the game, and you're saying he stumbled, right? You're supposed to say, oh, they stumbled, or he shook his head, when clearly that didn't happen. So the very first play, you just say, oh, he stumbled and knock him out for the rest of the game. There's no way you can convince me that's a coincidence.
And even then,
you'll never convince me.
If there had actually been a stumble,
yes,
maybe could have bought it. Maybe.
But bottom line, they wanted the Dolphins' head on a stick. They didn't get it because the Dolphins followed all protocols. So this was payback. You'll never convince me otherwise that the NFLPA didn't tell this spotter, I want that dude get out of the game the moment he takes a hit. I want him gone from the game. You'll never convince me that the NFLPA didn't tell that spotter to do that.
Right.
I'll never be convinced otherwise.
You embarrassed us, so now we're going to punish you.
Yeah, exactly. You made us look stupid because we just wanted to, make it look like we're the NFLPA. They're always trying to make it like they're doing something special for the players. Like they've been that way for years, man. For years. They're the hey John, I hadn't seen that guy forever. They've been doing that for years. Lewis, when I used to write occasionally for, was it Fin Maniacs, right? Like years and years ago. Remember, I wrote an article, I don't know if you recall, about the CBA that was coming up. It was like 3 years away. And I said, all right, here's what the CBA is going to look like in 3 years. Here's everything the NFLPA is going to do. And here's why they're just fooling the players into thinking they're going to do something. They're going to be like, oh, we want to change the way commissioner power goes. Oh, we want less testing or no testing for marijuana. Oh, they do all these things. The NFLPA likes to dangle all this stuff in the players. Oh, no more two-a-days, less practices, less padded practices. Much of that really hasn't helped the players because the first 3 or 4 games of the year is just, nobody's really playing good football anymore. It's harder on the younger players. But, that being said, the NFLPA is always dangling these carrots in front of the players, trying to convince them that they're actually doing something for them. And that's all this concussion thing was with Tua. They were just, let's jump in on this and make it look like we're really worth something, like we're worth the money that they pay us for representing them. The NFLPA is the most weak, feckless player union of any of the major sports. It's not even close, because all they do is go for showmanship, media, talking points, and dangle little carrots in front of the players like 2-a-days and marijuana testing, and never get the players what they really need. Because anything financially that they really need, they still don't have. They still don't have that. It hasn't gotten better for them. So this was just one more thing the NFLPA wanted to jump in on. And when it all was said and done, guess what? They couldn't come down and bring the axe on the Miami Dolphins like they so wanted to. So they were like, okay, I'll show you. Your quarterback is going to be gone. The moment he hits the turf, he's out. And that's what they did. Bottom line.
And and this is something that's going to happen in the future. And we'll get to more comments in just a moment, but I really need to emphasize this. If this is the way they're going to do this now, because make no mistake, players didn't get ejected out of the game for no reason, but the roughing the passer calls lately that have been coming out have been beyond ridiculous.
Yeah, and think about
Brady
it too.
Jarrett took down Tom Brady, wrapped him around the waist, dragged him to the ground. No, he didn't even put his weight on him. Forget that. He hit him in the only place that you're allowed to hit a quarterback, even brought him down gently. The only thing he didn't do was cradle him to the floor with his own body. And somehow that is roughing the passer.
But it wasn't roughing the passer when Tua was slammed to the ground. And it was enough to knock him out for multiple games, right? Legitimately knock him out in this case. And supposedly the hit was so terrible on Teddy that he now can no longer play. He's in concussion protocol because he stumbled. When he doesn't have a concussion and he didn't stumble, where was the flag on the hit? If it was such a vicious hit, no flag on that either.
Nope,
so
no
pretty
flag.
much what you're telling me now is, unless you're Tom Brady or one of these quarterbacks, all the players have to do is just give a little extra juice to a hit on the quarterback, and they can change the game.
Exactly. Yes.
And they may not even get a flag thrown on them for it. That's bottom line what's happening now. And some spotter, a regional guy, by the way, whoever it is somebody that's regionally picked, gets to decide who stays and who goes, especially with quarterbacks, but any player, right? Like that's not going to go badly at some point. That's some guy with a certificate who's an athletic trainer, what have you, is now going to decide whether Pat Mahomes can play the rest of the Super Bowl. Get the hell out of here with this crap. NFL has lost their minds. And it all started with this vendetta they have against the Dolphins because the NFLPA is ticked off that they didn't find anything in their investigation.
Right.
Bottom line.
That's basically what it boils down to. And you're right. That's the point that I was going to make, is that this is going to open the door to a lot of very big cans of worms. There's going to be a lot of things coming out of this now. Why did you eject my player? Why do you get to choose who gets to play and who does not get to play? Does this so-called trainer have a horse in the race? Because what are you supposed to do? Hook them up to a lie detector test? Are you a fan of this team? No. And then we're supposed to see if the line wiggles? Are you crazy? This is going to be such a problem. You literally took the job away from the doctors to put it on some dude who basically, even though let's say he's in the stands, okay, but what makes him more special than any one of us who's watching on television?
He was designated to look for stumbling and head shaking, of which he found neither with Teddy Bridgewater.
Yeah, exactly. Because you
can't
prove it.
Anyway.
You can't prove it.
On the first offensive play of the game, you have got to be kidding me. You will never convince me that wasn't the plan from the very beginning.
You can't convince me. You would have to show me the part. You have to show me the part where he stumbles. Like, point it out to me. Where's your idea of stumbling? And then maybe I'll believe you that this is actually legitimate. But
so now what's the game?
Video,
stay on the
start to finish.
Stay on the ground? Is that the game now? So stay on the ground like what Barrios did, right? When he took that shot, he just kind of kept a knee on the ground and stayed there. Clearly, he was dazed. They didn't take him out of the game, did he?
No, because Braxton Berrios has nothing
And
to do with anything.
And by the way, this isn't even about winning or losing like the game. The Dolphins played like crap. The Jets played good. We deserved to lose that game. We were terrible, especially in the fourth quarter. We completely unraveled.
Well, listen, I'm not going to.
And I don't know that we win or lose if Teddy's in there. And that isn't even the point I'm making.
Ron,
I'm not making an excuse for the loss. I'm upset about the situation and the clear, like, vendetta that they had against the Dolphins in this situation. There's just no way you can convince me Teddy was removed for any other reason, because he didn't stumble, not even a little bit, not even something you could consider a stumble. He didn't shake his head, anything. He was a tiny bit slow to get up, a tiny bit. That's it. There's nothing in the rule that says if the player is slow to get up, you're supposed to then remove them. There's nothing in the rule that says that. So they just made it up. They said, he took a shot. Let's take him out. Was any other player in the entire rest of the NFL removed under this new rule all of Sunday or Monday night? No. You can't tell me no player took a shot, because I saw some shots. Even in that Jets game, I saw Wilson take a shot as well. I mean, a serious shot. So is every time what? There are two heads connect in a tackle? That happens like every third time, right? That helmets touch. It's not always necessarily a head-to-head collision, but helmets touch. Are you going to take them out? Or is this just, we're going to do it to the Dolphins in the first game because we're ticked off we didn't find anything, and then we're just going to go back to normal and it's going to look like it always has. I'd be curious to see what it looks like. But this even affects us against Minnesota, because Teddy can't even practice till Thursday. Right? So then he would just have a few days. So is he even going to play? I mean, I don't even know.
I will say this, and welcome Alfredo Arteaga to the show. But
What's
I will
up,
say
Alf?
this. I will say this before we get
Hey.
moving. I will say this before I let Alf get in his thoughts. I guess I will make an excuse for the Dolphins to a certain extent, but only in the comparison of the Buffalo Bills, because the Buffalo Bills fans were screaming and hollering and crying that all their best players were out and blah 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 blah. Listen, your
they weren't on their third string quarterback.
Exactly. Yes. So the
They
Dolphins
still had
lost
Josh Allen
with
in there.
Skylar Thompson. If the Dolphins had lost and Tua was the quarterback, then I would say, okay, Bills, you got us for that one. Skylar Thompson, that would be like the Bills being on their third string and they just barely lost. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm not.
Ravens still had Lamar Jackson.
And they had Lamar Jackson.
They didn't have their third string quarterback.
Yeah. So if Bills fans want to like harass everybody and act like, oh, we got you, justice has been served. I'm like, listen, man. Let's see what happens if you didn't have Josh Allen the whole game. This would have been an even bigger loss for you guys. But that's besides the point. Alfredo, your thoughts on everything that we've been pretty much going off about. You kind of talked about it during the previous 3 yards per carry. Has anything changed in your assessment?
No. This thing was, and you really hate to, use words like rigged or, sabotaged, but Dolphins had a game rigged against them and they were sabotaged. Now, did they have a chance to win the game either way? Yeah, they had a chance, but it kind of caught up with them. And I got that revelation put to me on the latest 3 yards per carry, because if you watch that game, Chris Kaufman actually made the point. Did it look like they ran out of plays against the Jets? I think the Jets saw everything that they could have run with Skylar Thompson, and by the fourth quarter, they were pretty much in tune with everything that he could do. There's a scene in that game, okay? And then I'll explain how everything works for the week. But there's a scene in that game where Skylar Thompson is seen with his wristband, with his play sheet on his wristband, throwing cards out, and they're organizing which cards they could put into his wristband. The way it works is like this. Because everybody think, you go in there and you got 300 plays, you got 1,000 plays. No. An NFL playbook and McDaniel's playbook, he probably designed this thing around April, May for the season. The way you do it is you look at your personnel and you're like, okay, what do they run good? All right, let me start putting this in. Let me put that in. You do most of that, and you do some quick installs in the OTAs, and you do a lot of classroom work on all this stuff, and you basically introduce the team to what the playbook is going to be. That playbook for the season is roughly maybe 250 plays, something like that. So whenever you hear they say, the rookie has to learn the playbook, that's what he has to learn. He has to learn about 250 plays. He has to learn maybe 5 different formations. He has to know his assignments in each. He has to know which plays are being called in each personnel grouping, okay? Then the coaches, they get into the season, right? And they're going to play, let's say, hypothetically, the New York Jets in New York, okay? All right, we don't have Tua. We know that. We don't have Tua, but Teddy is going to start. Okay, so what does Teddy run good? All right, for an install Monday through Friday, they usually start doing this late Monday. The coaches start doing this late Monday. They start narrowing down the number of plays that they want to use for Sunday's game, okay? The shorter the week is going to be the lesser the plays. That's just a fact, okay? More commonly than not, the highest end number is going to be about 80. The lowest end is going to be about 40. But usually it's going to be a sweet spot of around 50 to 55 to maybe 60. Maybe with Tua, since he has pretty good command of the offense, you might get up to 60 plays. Maybe. Okay. Now, this doesn't mean that you can't reach into the bag and a play that you didn't install and say, look, let's run that. Okay. And then you get everybody on the same page and you're like, look, let's run that. I know it's not in the game plan, but let's run that. So then we have this install. Okay. I'm pretty certain that for Teddy Bridgewater, they worked on a certain install. Let's call it 50 plays. I don't know the number, but let's say it's 50 plays. How many of those plays do you think that Skylar Thompson worked on Monday through Friday on install? None.
I mean, 10? I mean, he probably only took like 15% of the snaps especially because Teddy hadn't really been taking a lot of snaps.
So maybe he knows 10. Yeah. So what's happening on Sunday is that you're going in there with your 50 plays that you feel pretty good about Teddy Bridgewater running, right? And he's gone on the first play. The first play from scrimmage, he is gone. He is no longer available to you. Okay, so then you get Skylar Thompson to the side. You say, what the hell do you know how to run, man? And he's probably going to tell you, look, I know how to run this basic package and that basic package that we ran in preseason. And he goes, all right, perfect. That's the new game plan. Start changing it on his wristband, and now we're running this. It's not an inconvenience. It's sabotage. It's sabotage. Okay? It's not an inconvenience. You're completely throwing a team's game plan out the window and forcing them to play basically playground ball for an entire game. It caught up to them
and removing a guy out of the game who wasn't even hurt.
Exactly.
Putting a guy in concussion protocol and removing him for stumbling when he didn't have a concussion and he didn't stumble.
Yeah,
on the very first offensive play the Dolphins ran. Come on.
And and then if it was a Politburo of neurologists that saw something, okay, that'll be something. But it's some douchebag with binoculars in the stands that's not even a doctor. He has to have an athletic trainer license. Okay? And what makes it worse is that these people are local. So this guy might have been dressed like Fireman Ed for all we know. And he has the power to basically remove the other team's starting quarterback on the first play of the game when nothing happened. There was worse that happened in yesterday's game. Josh Jacobs got up kind of woozy from a run yesterday. He was out one play. He came back in and he kept playing. Okay? So the NFL has had as bad a weekend as you could possibly have. And most of it is kind of stupid. But did it cost Miami a win? Maybe. I don't think that they played all that great, even when they had an opportunity.
No.
But
we'll never know, though, Alf, because again,
we'll never know.
The fact that
we'll never know.
There's you can't tell me that there's not a significant. I used to think, I really did, that if Skylar Thompson were the straight up backup, that everything would be fine. I now am realizing that how I was stupid to think that, because there's a reason Teddy Bridgewater has been sticking around, and that was it. So yeah, if Teddy Bridgewater had started against the Jets legitimately, and by the way, just talk about adding insult to injury by pinning the Dolphins for a safety when Durham Smythe was right there. Oh, he wasn't facing the football. So was he eligible or not?
And he was being hit when he threw the ball. That's not a safety. Oh my God.
It's in the rule book. It's in the rule book that if your arm is affected in any way by the hit, it is not intentional grounding. Therefore, it's not intentional. If your arm is being hit, you can't intend to get your arm hit and then throw the ball into the ground. Like what are we doing here? Okay,
Adding
of
insult
course,
to injury, you
of
must be
course,
punished.
the Bill. Of course, people forget against the Bills, Josh Allen threw the ball straight into the ground in the end zone, and they said,
they
"Oh,
didn't
it's
call
not."
it.
Yeah,
There
and they
was
said, "Oh,
someone. Yeah,
it's
there was someone there. There was someone kind of 5 yards
yeah,
away. Yeah,
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 which is
yeah.
BS.
It's
You know,
baloney. But anyway, indeed, the league should compensate the Dolphins and for the game and give back the first rounder. Sounds like a plan to me. They'll never do
I
it,
like
but
it.
I feel like, it's like, can we get an investigation on the investigation now? Seriously, that's what I want to do. Can we get Ted Wells back in here and be like, hey, remember how you went tooth and nail to punish us for the Richie Incognito thing? I want you now. I'm going to pay you now to come and defend us instead. Like, I
every
will give you.
single, as far as I can tell, I don't remember. Maybe there's one that's worthwhile, but every single like NFL investigation is essentially like a sham investigation with a desired result in mind. Really,
But
like
not this time.
have they ever really?
They wanted to show that the Dolphins did something terrible, and
Yeah,
they
the
couldn't prove it.
NFLPA wanted it though. That's the
They
difference.
couldn't prove it.
The NFLPA wanted to, and they would if it was up to them, they'd have just made some crap up. But the NFL was not going to let them do that for obvious reasons. One specifically, the liability on the NFL side.
So instead, they're
be
just going to
big.
let
They've
them
already
decide,
lost billions.
Instead,
off
they're
of
just
going to
let them
stuff.
decide future football games with independent people who are not affiliated with the team in question. Like, come on, give me a break, man.
Yeah, they'll have to fix.
Do you think the home field advantage is going to matter now? Like, who's going to be the spotter at Hard Rock Stadium? Are we going to take out Kirk Cousins when he gets hit too hard by Emmanuel Ogbah or something?
Well, that's
is that the plan?
Exactly. Well, plan A is to hit him hard enough that he stumbles. And then that way you get rid of him organically, right?
Yeah, we're back to Bounty Gate. Like they're encouraging
on purpose
the very thing they say they're trying to protect from. Now you're going to smack the crap out of the quarterback so that you can knock him out of the game because it's so much easier to do. You're encouraging the players to hit them harder now. It's so dumb. I cannot believe a multi-billion-dollar company like the NFL could be so negligent and so stupid. It's unbelievable. And the NFL is allowing the NFLPA to do this. They're the problem. It's
think about this. It's the divisional round of the playoffs, and the Dolphins are playing the Kansas City Chiefs, let's say. Okay. And Josh Boyer calls a backside safety blitz, and Brandon Jones is going to come free on Pat Mahomes. And it's the first quarter, and the score is 0-0. Do you think that it might cross Brandon Jones' mind? Don't go for the ball. Go for the center of the back and just trying to destroy Pat Mahomes here. And hopefully I knock him out of the game right here. Or do you think that he's going to go for the ball? Like it's now that's an actual debate that they have to have during games. Because it might be worth it to take Pat Mahomes out of the game early in the game. Because if he gets up stumbling, and it's happened to him before, by the way, he gets up stumbling, he might be taken out of the game. And
before you had to actually hurt them. And I don't think players want to actually hurt other players. Well, Bountygate maybe proved that differently. But
here's the thing.
In this case, you don't have to hurt them now. Now you just have to get them to maybe stumble. I mean, maybe he tripped on his shoelace. Oh, well, too bad. You're gone. Come on, man. It's so ridiculous. And I know people think Dolphins fans are crying. We're the only one it affected last weekend. Wait till your quarterback goes out and you lose a game that you should have won. Give me a break. Trust me, it'll start to affect other teams. Other fans will start crying too.
No, I'm waiting for it. Believe me, I'm waiting for it. So now we haven't gotten to many comments at all we've gone half an hour. We haven't even gotten
let's get to some comments, man. We got
Manny, can you pull up the YouTube comment that I shared a screenshot of so that way we can make sure that we get that highlighted? Because, again, like I said at the start of the show, I always want to emphasize this. It always helps us out when you leave a comment in the comment box on the YouTube video. So please go ahead and do that. That really helps us out. So it should be near the top of the thread, Manny, because that's where I had it. And for Paul Bellini saying it won't happen again. No, listen, man, this is going to happen more than once. It's going to happen more than once. You watch. It's going to happen. Like, it's because the human element is always going to be an aspect of it. All right. So this is from Jam442, who commented on the previous Pulse of Fins Nation. Not to say that Tua was set up for failure, but I do hope the coaches teach Tua to throw the ball away or practice some scrambling. I love a quarterback that doesn't give up on a play, but not at the expense of a 10-yard loss, much less an injury. So now we're talking about Tua. Okay. So let's talk about Tua Tagovailoa. Let's be real about something. Tua Tagovailoa, I appreciate the fact that he doesn't like to give up on plays, because there have been a lot of times where a quarterback will give up on a play too easily instead of trying to make something of it. Oh, he could have scrambled for 6 yards. Instead, he decided to just get rid of the ball and not take the sack. Okay, that's great and all, but if there's a chance for a positive play, Tua does tend to take it though too far in the opposite direction. He never gives up on a play, even when there is no positive outcome to be gained. Now, would I like to see him run more? Ron, you know I'm on the record. Alf, you've heard me say it more than once. I wish Tua would actually run with the ball a little bit more. I wish that he would remind everybody that he does have a certain amount of mobility. I don't need him to run like Lamar Jackson, but I just need him to.
Well, he can't. So
Yeah,
that's
he
a good
can't.
thing.
Right, he can't. Obviously, he can't. But there are several quarterbacks who are even slower than Tua, and usually end up being statues in the pocket. And even they're willing to run for 5 or 6 or 7 yards if it's given to them, if they don't think that anything else is available. I don't know why Tua is refusing to run forward. He trucked a Jets player last season. So what's the issue here? He just doesn't want to do it. Is he being told not to do it? I personally feel like that Tua would actually end up getting hurt less if he was more willing to run, ironically enough. If he just runs, slides, because the sliding is the important part. Run, slide, get 7 yards. Suddenly the defense can't pin their ears back and know that you're going to be back there in the pocket for them to kill. So it's that, in a way, also does protect him, because it forces the defense to realize if I go after him a little too hard, he might not be there when I get there because he may have taken off already. So that's the kind of thing that I want for Tua to learn how to do. Yes, throw the ball away, but also if you don't see anybody downfield, just take whatever is given to you. They're not even bothering to spy you most of the time because you're not going anywhere.
No, I agree. I agree with most of that. But when he plays on schedule, he's one of the best quarterbacks in the league. And
Absolutely, he is. But the problem is that not everything goes on schedule. So what happens when you're off schedule? You're going to take a shot because you don't know what to do with yourself. That's what I'm.
No, when it's on schedule, he has to drill it, and I know that he drills it because I've seen it in training camp, and I saw it with some of the videos that Nick Hicks posted after he had a couple of those off schedule plays against the Ravens. He knows what to do. This is just completely out of character. He just started running around back there trying to make a play. He actually missed the corner route with Jalen Waddle on that play that he got hurt. It was just an odd play. It was an accident. But he does have to get better at that. There's video going around. I think Big O played some of it where his father used to, be a little bit harsher than most with Tua about sliding and preserving himself. And that's something that he's going to absolutely have to take to heart, because he can't play like that and continue to do this. Like, he can't play recklessly in the pocket. And he's done it twice in 2 years. Okay. So this is something that he's done before. It has to stop. Yeah. Just stay on schedule. Stay on schedule. And this offense is good enough. Your weapons are good enough. The offense is going to be great if you just stay on schedule, throw the ball, and get rid of it on time.
Bron, you watched him at Bama. Is my perception just off? Does he run a lot less than he used to?
The not giving up on plays thing is a problem for him. It was a problem in Bama. He just doesn't want to give up on a play. I don't know if it's as much as running versus staying in the pocket versus, I don't know, running out of the pocket but trying to throw. The guy just needs to know when to give up on a play sometimes. And it was a problem in Bama. And it just hasn't gotten any better in the NFL. It's just there's something instinctually with him that he can't seem to unlearn that. I'm starting to think he's just never going to, but he's gotten himself hurt a couple times this time, and it's hurting the team. Like not throwing that ball away is costing maybe cost the Dolphins the Cincinnati game, maybe cost them the Jets. You know what I mean? Like not throwing the ball away, learning when to just give up on the play and throw it away has hurt not just himself, but the entire team. Because clearly, if anybody that thought that Tua, it's hard to tell from Teddy because we only saw a half where he didn't get to prepare as a starter. But I think if anybody thought that Tua wasn't the guy, I think he is, except, I know that people are concerned about the injury risk, but clearly he's better than Tua, better than Teddy, and better than Skyler. For anybody that thought that wasn't the case coming into the season, this offense is humming when Tua is back there. Can't just put anybody back there. We need Tua back there. So he needs to protect himself to protect the team, because he might have cost us a win or two by not just getting rid of the ball and taking the hit that he took. So if nothing else, I'd love to see if McDaniel could at least get that through to him when you're trying to just make every play the greatest play ever. Just not always going to be, you know?
All right. Next comment, please, Manny. There's a bunch of them. Believe me, there was a bunch of them. We're gonna try. I'm gonna try to have us speed through them as much as we can because there was so many of them that we had. From Justin Bowl, we're 3. So the question was, how's everybody feeling? We're 3-2 and could easily be 5-0. People need to breathe. Team needs to get healthy. Also, not sure if there are any teams that we could deal to get a left guard / right tackle, but I hope Chris Greer is looking. I still feel like we should try Reuben Foster. Team is clearly missing its cornerback tandem. I'm gonna address that last part first because. Obviously, and I said this during the post-game show, the reason that the Dolphins defense is struggling right now, I firmly believe it's strictly because of the lack of Xavier Howard and Byron Jones, a healthy Xavier Howard and Byron Jones, because those two were and are the anchors of this whole defense. Josh Boyer gets to experiment with the zero looks, the blitzing, and all that wonderful stuff because he has faith in Xavier Howard and Byron Jones to lock down at least 2 of the wide receivers at any given moment. Now with those 2 out, what do you expect him to be able to do? The whole appeal of this defense is the top corners. Without those corners, your defense suddenly has a double handicap that basically forces half of the blitzers to have to stay back and in coverage because they have to compensate for a level of talent that is not available. I'm all credit to Kader Kohu. He is not Xavier Howard. He is not Byron Jones. Neither is Nick Needham. Neither is Keon Crossan. There's a reason those 2 are so highly paid. It's because they are as good as they are. Now, my concern is that the Miami Dolphins aren't going to have either of them for a little while. I don't know if Xavier Howard's going to play against the Vikings. I know for a fact Byron Jones isn't going to play for the Vikings, and I'm starting to wonder if he's ever going to play for this team at all this season with how long he's been out and how long we're hearing that he might not, he's not ready. As far as Chris Greer looking for another offensive lineman, I don't know what's going on in Carolina, the fire sale that's happening right now. Carolina Panthers desperately looking for some guys.
Well, there's no fire sale.
There's no fire sale.
Yeah, I don't know why people just think because they fire a coach, let's get rid of all the good.
Yeah,
players.
look, you got to understand.
That's just silly.
People on and I want to get to this.
Hello,
too.
Carolina. Hello, Mr. Burns. Hello.
Yeah, this is just silly. You want to attract a good coach, right? The way you attract a good coach is by showing them the good young players that you have. Why would they trade J.C. Horn? Why would they trade their best pass rusher and Brian Burns? All of these guys are under 26, by the way. Okay? Why would you trade even Christian McCaffrey? He's your best offensive player. Why would you trade DJ Moore, who's the top 15 wide receiver? This is just stupidity. For what? For picks? No, this is what you want picks for, is to take these young guys. Okay? Now, if you have a 30-year-old who's a 10-time Pro Bowler, yeah, by all means, you trade those guys. Okay? You have a 28-year-old that's going to ask for a lot of money. Okay, fine. Trade that guy if you're rebuilding. But all these young guys on rookie deals, these are not the guys you trade. Okay? And I know people are going to say, oh, Minkah Fitzpatrick. Well, Minkah Fitzpatrick asked out. Okay? And they got a first-round pick for him. There's nothing you can do when the guy's
forced his way out. They wanted him on the team.
He was refusing to play. Okay? And the owner got on a plane from New York to Miami to convince him to stay here. And he says, I will not play for that man, Brian Flores. Okay? And Brian Flores said, look, get this guy the hell off of my team. What are you going to do at that point? At that point, it's like, okay, man. The Larry Tunsil thing, I told everybody that would listen. Look, and I remember clearly, okay? Because some people were like, oh, you were saying they weren't trade him. I said, no, that's not what I said. I said the first team that offered 2 firsts and a second, and a lot of people laughed at me, okay? A lot of people, and you guys remember the time, okay, when I posted that. A lot of people were saying, you're out of your mind if you think that anybody's going to give you 2 firsts and a second for Larry Tunsil. And I said, they don't want to trade him, but the first team that offers 2 firsts and a second, Larry Tunsil is gone because 2 firsts and a second is too much to turn down.
Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the greatest GM in the history of the Miami Dolphins, Bill O'Brien.
Okay.
Thank you.
And guess what?
Thank you, B.O.B.
They gave him 2 firsts, a second, a third, and the Dolphins just had to throw in Kenny Stills. By the way, what's Kenny Stills doing these days?
Nothing.
Nobody. No. Okay. So, yeah,
what's Mike Wallace doing these days? What's most of the Dolphins' ex-wide receivers doing these days?
Yeah, none of those guys are getting traded, I don't think. Okay. And none of them make sense, really. Especially Brian Burns. Everybody's like, oh, Brian Burns, man. Brian Burns makes a lot of Brian Burns is very one-dimensional, and he's going to want $80 million next year. You're going to give a guy $80 million that only rushes the passer? I don't know. That doesn't.
We
seem
don't
very
have the
smart.
money for guys like that.
No,
We've spent our money. We gotta find
Yeah.
find the
Like
young
if you're
guys.
gonna take anybody from Carolina, man, Taylor Moton, that's who you want. Okay, that's a Pro Bowl right tackle. Are they gonna trade a Pro Bowl right tackle? What for? Like, are you ready to part with a second round pick for Taylor Moton? I'd do it, but is that something that Carolina wants, or do they want the guy that they found? That's a Pro Bowl right tackle in Taylor Moton. I don't know. It's all of this, and especially Bills fans working themselves up into a ladder. Like, they think they're going to get Saquon and Christian McCaffrey.
No, that's a 1-2 punch for you. But a 1-2 punch of injuries, I'll say that. So this next comment is from our good friend Danny Martinez, who, by the way, this is the gentleman who wrote the article about Tua and being left-handed absolutely throws people's brains out of whack. Cosign across the board, down the training for OL and linebacker help. The trickle-down of not having Howard and Jones is something people are overlooking. It's not just them, it's the moving parts due to their absence. Exactly. That's exactly what I said, pretty much to the letter. The fact that Xavier Howard and Byron Jones are not in there forces the defense to have to try to compensate for the lack of their presence. And it's making an impact. If Xavier Howard and Byron Jones were in there, Brandon Jones can blitz to his heart's content. Landon Roberts can charge into the box and attack like nobody's business. It makes such a difference. And Alf, I don't know if you have any inside info on what's going on with Byron Jones, but I'm personally thinking that the Dolphins are going to have to look elsewhere next season because this guy is not coming out.
Oh no, he's not. He's not going to be back here next season. Like, that's a fact. Like that's not happening. I'll say one thing about Byron Jones. He's kind of overdue already. He's overdue since like August. Okay, we've been hearing that he's going to be ready for week 1 since August. It's now going. We're getting to week 6, and there's still no Byron Jones. Now, I don't want to be the bearer of bad news. By the way, I'm looking some stuff up here, but I don't want to be the bearer of bad news. But usually, guys that are overdue, teams don't tend to want to wait around too much for stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like, teams get very, very impatient with guys that are overdue and that are not meeting their physical tests to be able to play. So I think that the clock is ticking on Byron Jones. If he's not activated to practice in the next 2 or 3 weeks, like by mid-season, I think they shut him down for the season. Like, what's the point then? Because then he's not going to meet his physical. He's not going to meet his physical, requirements. But one thing I will say is this. As far as Byron Jones and Xavier Howard, they're getting some good news on Xavier Howard. I like to read a little bit of body language with Mike McDaniel. He likes to play around with injuries, meaning he doesn't like to reveal much. But with Xavier Howard, he seemed to be a little bit more upbeat. It sounded like Xavier Howard probably needed that week off against the Jets, and he should be good to go this weekend. It's also turf against the Jets. And I kept thinking to myself, you know what? It's probably not a good idea to play some of these guys that are injured on that turf this week. And
that's
maybe
Teron
just
Armstead.
And it makes a lot of sense for Teron Armstead. Like, they're getting good news on Teron Armstead as well. On Teron Armstead on OnlyFans, I posted what his issue is. I don't know what exactly his injury is, but you could read between the lines on what it is. And like, what can it be if it's a turf? If it's a toe, right? Maybe he has a fracture in the toe. We do know how you solve fractures. You either rest for a couple of weeks and then it'll heal on its own, or you could have surgery and then you're out for 2 to 4 weeks if you have surgery, or you play through it with a little harness, okay, and eventually it'll calcify and that's it. End of story. Your toe will be fine. So we shall see on Teron Armstead. What could have happened to him against the Jets is that he could have had a tape job that just came undone, and then all of a sudden he had to ask out because now the pain is unbearable. And they decided, you know what, let's just keep him out for this game. But it looks like they're going to get some good news on Teron Armstead. On Teddy Bridgewater, look, and when we
his
talked about
non-injury.
And his non-injury, and everybody's like, oh my God, he can't even practice on Thursday. Look, I'm pretty sure that that the NFL and the NFLPA didn't call the cops and a SWAT team to Miami Gardens to make sure that Teddy Bridgewater can't walk into a meeting. Okay, like I'm pretty sure that they didn't do that. Now there's an NFLPA representative. It's Kristen Wilkins. I hate to like tell people. So unless Kristen,
Are you serious? That's pretty
yeah.
hilarious.
Okay, so unless Kristen Wilkins is going to start snitching out the Dolphins, I'm pretty sure they could sneak the game plan to Teddy Bridgewater. The only thing Teddy Bridgewater can't do, because they actually do have an observer for that. All right, there is a look. I hate to tell people, but like this is inside baseball. The NFL has a snitch at practice. Okay, so there's an NFL snitch on staff that he says, "Oh, who's out there? What? Teddy's out there? Nah, he can't be out there. He can't be out there until Thursday." So yeah, Teddy cannot practice until Thursday.
But
I'm
you know
pretty
what?
sure
I think with just the knowledge level alone, I think it's better to have a Teddy who hasn't practiced since Thursday than Skylar Thompson all week at this point.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure that on Tuesday somebody could send FedEx the game plan to Teddy Bridgewater to his house. You know what I mean? And so, hey Teddy, you might want to look at this. This is the game plan for the Vikings, man. If you want, go over this. If you want, give me a call. Maybe on Zoom we could talk about this game plan. So I'm pretty sure they could do something like that. All right. So I wouldn't worry too much about Skylar Thompson playing. If Teddy's healthy, he should play.
Yeah, that's what I think too. Perfect Q. I don't know. I think Perfect Q is probably the most frustrated out of all of us. It doesn't matter what happens. The games are already determined. Tua will be forced off the field, just like they did with Teddy the moment he basically, yeah. I mean, you can't tell me that there's not a concern that since Tua now is the poster child of this whole drama, if he hits the ground, even if he gets up again, somebody's going to be out there saying, get him out of there, out of some false level of concern for Tua's well-being. And then this talks about how he needs to retire starts all over again. Jason Whitlock among them. I know you were pointing out another person who had talked about it. Some doctor somewhere was saying, oh, Tua needs to retire. But there is going to be that concern now. Yes, but now I think where people are going to start acting like he's more injury prone than he even is. Because now they're just going to say, he hit the ground, get him out of there. He got sacked, get him out of there. Somebody fell on him, get him out of there. So this is going to be the kind of stuff that we're going to have to be watching for now. Because even if he gets up and he's just fine, literally giving thumbs up, Teddy Bridgewater, some guy out there might just say, you know what? I don't like the Tua's out there. I'm concerned for his well-being. He's such a good kid. He doesn't deserve to throw his life away. I'm going to pull him out of this game and he'll thank me later when he's in his 50s. Like, I'm sorry. I guess in some ways I kind of agree with Perfect Q. Not necessarily that the games are chosen for the NFL already, although there is going to be talk about that, I'm sure. But how likely is it that the moment Tua hits the ground, somebody out there is going to be like, he's not allowed to come back?
It's not very likely, and I'll explain why. And here's the problem, okay? And this goes for politics too, and I hate to talk politics on this show, but it does go for politics. Twitter is not real life. Okay,
no kidding.
But politicians don't think this. Politicians think that Twitter is real life. Okay,
I mean, for a while though, Alf, it seemed like Twitter was running this whole show. Like the outrage that happened on Twitter,
and that's what I'm getting at. And that's what I'm getting at. The NFL thinks now that Twitter is real life.
The NFLPA.
And the NFLPA thinks that Twitter is real life. I'd like to introduce them to something called the Constitution of the United States and the Equal Protection Clause. You start singling out Tua, and you don't let him earn his living. This is just persecution. If you start singling him out for every single thing that he does, okay, he could bring a lawsuit against the NFL. And if this thing goes to the Supreme Court, not to get too political, but you know what conservative justices really, really like? They like arguments made on behalf of the 14th Amendment, the Equal Protection Clause. Okay? So who knows? Maybe they like to side against the NFL and their exemptions, okay, that they get from the government. So I wouldn't put it past them to kind of put it out there like, hey, this might have gone a little bit too far with this Teddy Bridgewater BS. Taking him out after the first game.
It did.
After the first play, relax, throttle back a little bit, okay? Because you don't want this getting a little uglier, okay? because the worst thing can happen is that Tua's in front of that crowd against the Steelers, spoiler alert, and he's going back to pass and he's completing a pass and the crowd is going ballistic because Tua's having a great game, and some asshole in the stands is going to say, oh, I think I saw him stumble. And then nobody sees him stumble, okay? And then Tua just says, wait a minute. Now I can't earn a living like everybody else? Maybe I need to go consult a lawyer now because this is persecution at this point.
And if not Tua, certainly his father.
Yeah, like it could come to something like that, all right? And if people are thinking, oh my God, he's bringing up the Constitution of the United States. Yeah, well, yeah. So
we're getting deep here on Pulse of Fans Nation.
Sometimes your only remedy is to sue somebody, okay? And it's not like the NFL hasn't been sued and lost big recently. Okay?
I mean, wasn't the lawsuit the entire reason this whole CTE and concussion protocol and all this stuff was triggered in the first place?
Yeah, the NFL is really good at two things: entertainment and losing lawsuits. Okay, that's what we know about. All right, so who's to say here comes another one? All right, so I would think that they throttle back on this a little bit.
Yeah, I think they made their point. I do think they did the thing with Teddy on purpose. I'm 100% convinced.
I'm starting to believe that it's the truth too,
because there was just no evidence. But I think they made their point and they will throttle back. I agree with Alf. I don't think this is going to be every single first play of the next game. If it's Teddy, get him out of there again. I don't see that happening. I think they made their point. The NFLPA got what they wanted. They wanted to punish Miami. They couldn't do it one way. They did it another way. I think it'll settle down now, not just for the Dolphins, but everywhere.
So you think
the NFL would like to see this not be talked about?
Ron?
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
I said, are those bogus roughing the passer calls going to go away now?
I think it's all going to throttle back some. The NFL would like to not be discussing this. They litigated this years ago and wanted to put this behind them. I don't think they want to relitigate it, and open this wound again. They'd like to just put this behind us and let's settle down.
Yeah,
let's
and by the way,
it back a little. I agree with Alf completely there. I don't think we'll have any further issue from it that I see, although there is going to be a player or two somewhere that's going to get knocked out of a game that you're going to be like, ooh, that's questionable. That is going to have a serious outcome on that game. It just probably won't be for the Dolphins. It'll be somebody else somewhere else.
Yeah, they will be a play. There'll be a play with a major player and something will happen. He'll be taken out. There'll be another controversy. Okay. And then they won't mention the Teddy thing because for whatever reason, the national media have decided that this is a non-story.
Of course, they're very happy
because it's the Dolphins,
and they're happy the Jets won, Alf. So
yeah,
they're thrilled the Jets won. New York is happy. Money place is happy. And I know that Manny's got to go. We'll probably go a little longer afterwards, but I need to make sure that Manny gets in here to do his comments here. So, Manny, I'm sorry, man. Go ahead. Bring us your NFL topics for the week. You're there. I know you are. I know you're there. You just messaged me.
He just finished making dinner. He's not there.
Yes, he is. I know he is. Look, you know how I know he's here? Because I
there
see
he is.
I see his. I put him there. That's his little box. I know he's here.
There you go.
There he is.
All right. So real quick. We all saw the game last night. I had other questions, but I figured to bring up this one because nowadays the league tries to get very analytical. I mean, with all these, we're down by 1. Let's go for 2. Let's go for the win. We're on the road. Josh McDaniels, we saw this when he was a Denver head coach. Gambling sometimes doesn't go your way. And when it doesn't go your way, you sometimes try to be a little bit too cute with it. Knowing that you needed 1 yard on 4th and 1. This is what I would have done, Alf. I would have, listen, I don't even give the defense even an opportunity to even know what I'm going to do. I'm going to, whatever it is, whenever the ref tells me I can get to line of scrimmage, get up there, sneak for the first down, have already a call going, and then you go for it again. But I'm not I am not a coach. Did Josh McDaniels just try to just outsmart himself on purpose? Because you could have tied the game ahead into overtime, and yet now you're in a bigger hole in a division that Kansas City, in all honesty, is about to just take it. Because Denver is nowhere near as potent, and Chargers are up and down. So
for people
Josh McDaniels make the right call in trying to do that?
Yeah, for people that don't know, my background is in statistics, so I'm more predisposed to actually like analytics. But analytics without the human element is bad science. It's fuzzy math. Okay. there is a human element in football. Those are human beings that you're playing with. Now, if you're doing it in Madden, absolutely, you got to go for it on the goal line, okay? And then I'll explain that other 4th and 1 call because that's something that Mike McDaniel would tend to do as well. I'll explain to you. But on the goal, when they score the touchdown and they get the opportunity to kick the PAT to tie it, you got to take into account the human element, okay? Now, naturally, if you could get the 2-point conversion, yeah, of course, everything's great. But you're not playing the analytics correctly there. You have about an 82% chance to tie the game with the extra point. You have a 63% chance to go ahead by getting the 2-point conversion, okay? Analytics suggests that the risk versus reward makes more sense to just tie it because it could bring your team down. They might feel like, okay, we've reached the destination. We've tied this game. Oh, no, we haven't tied this game. You don't know that the benefit or the hurt or the damage that you can cause to your team by not getting that. Then on the 4th and 1, and then this is what's key, okay? The 4th and 1, they go deep on that pass. Mike McDaniel said something in camp that stuck with me, and it's the truth, okay? And this is something that Gary Stevens, former Dolphins coordinator from way back in the day, he was famous for saying you can't make chicken salad out of chicken shit, right? He said that the easiest time to get a deep shot is on 3rd and 1, 4th and 1, because teams will never play too deep because they're afraid of you running the ball on them, right? So they're always going to bring a guy into the box. It's like every team will do it. Nobody, and I mean nobody, not a team in the league will play a 2-deep shell or a cover 6 against you on 4th and 1 and 3rd and 1. They're going to bring 8 in the box because they're going to try to stop your run, right? Did he outsmart himself? He tried to hit Devonta Adams deep, and Devonta Adams tripped with Hunter Renfrow because Hunter Renfrow ran into him. Who knows? He might even caught it, okay? Was it a good call? Yeah, maybe just get the first down, right? But it's a daring call, but it gave them the opportunity to win the game too. You know what I mean? And that's something that I'll tell fans right now. That's something Mike McDaniel will do. Like there's going to be later on in this season, there's going to be a 4th and 1 or a 3rd and 1, and Tua or Teddy is going to throw it 40, 50 yards down the field to Tyreek Hill. And when people ask, it's because, well, they're giving us the coverage. We have to take it because we might not only get this opportunity 2 or 3 times in an entire game, you know?
Right. And that's the thing, though, is that the results are always what everybody looks at. If it works, you're a genius. If it fails, then you're an idiot. And unfortunately for Josh McDaniels, this time he was an idiot. So because it didn't work. But if it does, then you are the star of the show. You are the best head coach in football for making such a gutsy, ballsy decision. So it's always a results-oriented thing.
But one thing too, Alf, I think we were talking about analytics and OnlyFans. I think it was over a year ago, and I said something, and you were like, "Boom, this guy gets it." So I'm gonna just repeat what I said. It's only analytics if you're doing what the analytics tell you to do every single time. Yeah. If you're picking and choosing, I'm going to do it here, but not do it there. That's not analytics.
You're using your gut.
You're just using your gut. That doesn't make any sense. And that's
not commander data as a head coach. You either
Harbaugh
do it or you don't.
You know, that's what we've seen John Harbaugh do with the Ravens. He does the same thing, and then he goes when he goes with a gut. He kind of makes a questionable call. He even did it in the Dolphins game when they went for it on 4th down, and it didn't really make sense at the time. Well, analytics said I should do that, you know, but either you're using analytics all the time or you're not. Now when you're up 21 points, you probably should be more conservative. I would think analytics would tell you that you'd be more conservative in that time. It's not always a case by case. It's the entire picture. But if you're picking and choosing here and there, that's just not analytics.
Right. If for analytics to truly make a difference, you basically have to be commander data. The logic is this, the algorithm says this, so I'll always do this because it always seems to work in this particular situation.
But there's also such a thing as being dumb and being stupid. Well, Brandon Staley, I don't know if you guys saw what he did.
Well, he seems to make a staple out of making stupid decisions.
No, but what he did,
that's been his MO, hasn't it?
What he did, and by the way, this is also like, you know, people think, oh, you know, it's the Dolphins, you know, they don't get a lot of press. What Brandon Staley did, look, he coaches a team in LA, okay, but it's the Chargers. Nobody gives a crap about the Chargers. All right. Now, Sean McVay done this. Everybody would say, look, Sean McVay is an idiot for doing what he did. Brandon Staley went for it on his own 45-yard line, protecting only a 2-point lead with a minute left. What can possibly go wrong? Think about that. If you get stopped, you're handing the ball to your opponent on your side of the field with a minute left, needing only a field goal. That is just complete.
So one
and
first
utter
down
stupidity.
and you might lose the game. That's pretty much. That's
Pretty much.
That's silly. That's
Well,
not
guess what?
analytics.
They got
That's
stopped. They got stopped, and Cleveland got the ball, and they just got lucky because, by the way, Cleveland got greedy. Cleveland said, "Screw you. We're gonna go get a touchdown. We don't even want this field goal." And they drove all the way down to the 8-yard line. They still have plays, and they got lucky that Jacoby Brissett threw a pick in the end zone.
when
Okay.
Jacoby Brissett threw a pick, is that really luck, or is that just kind of it'll happen? Maybe
Well-
that's what Brandon Staley was thinking. You know what? They got Jacoby Brissett. We're just gonna go for this here. I don't care that it's our own 45. Brissett will screw it up somehow. We'll be good.
Yeah, and the defenders of analytics and will say, "Oh, but you got to go for it." Then no, you don't. You don't have to go for it right then and there. Okay,
No.
like there's logic in the game. Okay, there's logic in the game. There always is logic in the game. Okay, and you don't go for it right there.
Contextual logic,
Yes.
not statistical logic.
Mhm.
All right. So just because we're having such a good discussion, I'm going to keep this show going a little longer. I'm basically going to take over as producer now because Manny had to head out for the remainder of the show. So I'm going to pull this up here real quick. This is basically
Did he go to the Pulse of Eagles Nation? Is that
no,
what
this
it
is
is?
not the Pulse of Eagles Nation
Is
anymore.
that
no.
where he went to?
All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and pull this up. So this is from Tom. The Gesicki experiment isn't working. Should we package him with a pick and Byron Jones for Jair Alexander? We can trade him, or we can do it straight up for Roquan Smith. I mean,
You can
considering
do it on Madden if you like, I'm
Yeah.
sure, but
I
this is
mean,
the NFL.
I think I'm mad at that works.
I mean, Alf, I'm sure that Aaron Rodgers would love to have a weapon like Gesicki, and I'm
Yeah,
sure
and
that,
they lose the best cornerback in football for one that's injured and not on the field yet, not even practicing yet.
but they can't score points.
Who makes more money? Oh man, no. Packers need wide receivers is what they need. Their wide receivers are bad. If you watch the Packers play, they have a great defense, they have a great running game, and they have one of the best quarterbacks of all time.
But they don't have anyone to throw it to. Isn't that the Gesicki issue?
Yeah,
And,
sure.
and we're giving him a pick on top
But
of
is
that.
Robert
It's not like-
Tonyan really that bad? Robert Tanyan's a decent tight end. He's all right. Their problem is wide receivers. They need speed.
And what is Gesicki if not a glorified wide receiver?
But he's
But
not.
he doesn't get any separation.
Yeah, he doesn't get separation.
He doesn't
You
get
know,
no separation.
Aaron Rodgers doesn't care. He's just going to throw it to him.
Now if you want to send Cedric Wilson somewhere because he's not working out,
Okay,
here,
so
then
let's do that. Make it
that makes
Gesicki,
sense.
Cedric Wilson, and a pick.
Well, they're not giving us Jair Alexander. I mean, come on, man. That's just
I'll do
silly.
that trade in a second. Okay, I'll do that trade like right now. Where do I sign up for it? No,
Yeah,
that's highway
yeah.
robbery.
You
Like,
sign
can
up
do
for it on Madden 23. That's where you sign
that.
up.
Yeah, you can do that on the Madden.
Only place that it's going to happen.
I mean, it's an interesting coming up with the trades. Listen, you've known me long enough to know this. I feel like the trades are the most fun part of the whole NFL season. I love if I ever play Madden anymore, I don't even play the game half the time. I just want to do trades and I want to get free agents and I want to see how would I build the roster. So and could be perfectly honest, if Byron Jones is really just not coming back, and that seems to be the case, who else is out there that could conceivably replace him and be the other shutdown corner next to Xavier Howard that will allow Josh Boyer to do the full extent of his defense?
I got to be honest with you. They're going to, for now, I think they're going to just go with Kader Kohu. I just think they're going to,
and I'm sure
I
he'll
think
be
they're going to
great.
roll with that
Like,
honestly, I think they're going to roll with him and X into next year. I think that's going to be the plan.
Yeah, at some point they're gonna have to try to save some money because they're gonna need it for some of these
Exactly.
other guys.
Mhm.
I still think that they might make a move in the offseason, I would say. Like if something shakes loose, you never know. Like, look, JC Horn has been really, really good. He's young, but he's also been injured. Okay. Maybe Carolina decides this is not a guy we want to pay. Maybe we're the team that actually pays him. You know what I mean? And then that kind of coincides with JC Horn gets paid. And then he keeps getting paid as Xavier Howard is eased out the door as he gets older. Maybe it coincides perfectly. So I still think they might make a move in the offseason for a cornerback.
I mean, I can't imagine they're going to dump Xavier Howard after they just finished giving him a brand new
No,
contract.
no,
he's
I
here
don't think
he's
X
here
is
for
going to
2
go
more
anywhere.
years.
Yeah, at least 2 more years. It makes me nervous that this defense relies so heavily on like two, like you have to have 2 all-pro cornerbacks on the boundary, or the
Because they play
entire
man.
defense falls apart. Like that is a concern for me. I feel like we have enough talent. We should be playing better. We should be getting the quarterback a little bit more.
Yeah, because they're almost ideologically already committed to this, right? They're a man team, and they're not going to change it.
Yeah, that's
okay.
So it was exactly that way when Flores was here. We knew that this defense relied on, and that zero blitz scheme, especially, you mentioned it, Lewis. That and also I think NFL teams are starting to figure that everything you do in the NFL on the offense or the defense eventually starts to get figured out by the other side, and you have to switch things up. Everything. These guys are all smart. As Mike McDaniel likes to say, the guys on the other side get paid too. So it might not just be because the cornerbacks are out. I just think that Miami has to figure out, like on offense, we figure out creative ways, new and different things. We innovate. I think it's time that Miami maybe started to innovate a little bit on the defensive side. But I hate that we're so reliant on having all pro cornerbacks or the whole thing falls apart.
Well, you saw them do some of that against the Bills, right? Like, they played more conservatively against Josh Allen, and they had a good game plan. Like, they did a number on Josh Allen, like they played pretty well.
I feel like, though, if they had been more aggressive on Zach Wilson and maybe blitzed him a little bit more than they did, they would have been more successful against him. When they did blitz him, he was not able to get away and find an escape hatch.
They're nervous to blitz right now with the situation in the secondary, though. I think they're nervous to do it.
And that's just it. That was the problem. They didn't have those.
No,
guys,
you also have to
so
understand. You also have to understand against Zach Wilson, they had 3 sacks that turned into pass interference. I mean, not pass interference, roughing the passer penalties, because they grabbed his face mask twice, and one was a late.
Well, that's player execution being inexcusable, but it's not like the philosophy was not a bad one. It was just the players done goofed. It's like you can't just decide, you know what, we're not going to try to zack him anymore because they end up grabbing his face mask all the time,
Yeah, one thing that's getting completely lost, and like we only mentioned it the last 6 minutes of our podcast this week, and nobody's really talking, especially not on Twitter, because Dolphin Twitter, they decided, we're just gonna bitch for the rest of the week until they play a game on Sunday. Nobody's talking about that. Dolphins kind of found their running game, and if that's a thing going forward, this team is gonna be tough to beat when Tua comes back, because you give Tua this running game, that play action is gonna be deadly, especially going to those two guys, Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill. You thought teams were going to play too deep before. Now it's going to be religious, because now they're going to be afraid of those 2 guys and afraid of play action passes. And Dolphins could really get something going here on the running game, because that thing looked good against the Jets.
Man, it
looked good with Skylar Thompson at quarterback, and with the Jets committing 8, 9, 10 people to the box.
We need Tua back, man. Tua back's that's gonna solve a lot of issues. We get Tua, TAX, be all right.
No, that's what I was saying.
We'll deal with the other injuries.
Yeah, if the Dolphins are gonna beat the Minnesota Vikings, they need to have 2 of their guys back. They need to have either need to have Tua back, which is not going to happen.
No.
They need Howard back, which might happen. They need Armstead back, which hopefully might happen.
I don't know enough about that situation. We'll see.
I just feel like that's the best thing that would happen for the Dolphins. Let me see.
I'd like to at least have Teddy. That would be nice. NFL PA. Think you can maybe let him play this time?
Yeah.
Hey, the spotter at this game is going to be a local guy, right?
Kirk Cousins.
Maybe it's a revenge game.
You're out.
Yeah, they hit him too hard. Time to get him out of there, right?
He stumbled coming off the plane. He's done.
All right. Next one I'm going to pull up here really quick. Real here. Big Papa Pete says Jason Sanders is not good under pressure.
When the field goal is more than 50 yards, Jason Sanders is not good there. Not under pressure, just hard stop. He's just all of a sudden the last couple years cannot hit field goals over 50, regardless of the situation.
You know what? I really would like to know. And this is something that I don't think unless there's something that maybe Alf knows. Did he stop working with Brent Grablichoff at any point? Is he no longer his off-season kicking coach or something? Because I remember
don't
doing
know.
an interview with him, and that was
Maybe
during
Tua-
his superstar run as a Dolphins kicker. And then he suddenly kind of like disappeared. I don't see him. I follow him now, kicking world championship. He doesn't talk about Jason Sanders anymore. Like, I can't help but wonder if he's no longer his coach. And I
Ask
wonder if
him.
that had something to do with it. Yeah, I could
Ask
Why
him.
don't
Do
you
another-
ask him, man? Be a reporter, man. It's what we pay you for.
What am I paid? What am I paid?
What are you asking us for? Go ask him.
I don't know.
None of
I'll
us
the
know
guy
who
who's
he
the
is.
insider half the time.
Yeah, you're gonna have to ask him again because this is a serious issue. I have a tweet. I'm looking for it. Hold on a second. I'm looking
add
for
it to my add it to the private chat here, and I'll.
I
pull
think
it
it's
up here.
gonna. I think it's gonna get to a point where you're gonna. I think starting now, honestly, you're gonna see anytime it's. I mean, I don't want to like relitigate the exact 3 yards per carry conversation, but I have to agree. Anytime it's gonna get to the point where Mike McDaniel, it's 3rd and 1, 4th and 1, 3rd and 2, 4th and 2, or 4th and 2, 4th and 1, whatever, and it's a 50, 51, 53-yard field goal, he's just gonna go for it. Like, he's not going to let Sanders kick anymore.
I mean, if a 3rd and 2 and 4th and 1, I wouldn't mind going for it anyway. Like, I've always felt like, listen, at that point, it's 1 yard. You can quick slant is all you take.
But here's
1
the
yard,
thing,
boom,
and I think it's clear right now. McDaniel has trust in Tua. Like, it isn't just, I'm carrying him along, I'm going to make this guy be something, but I'm going to kind of carefully do it. Like, McDaniel play calling with Tua and without Tua, it's not even the same hemisphere. He trusts Tua. He doesn't mind putting Tua in those situations. I don't think he has that same faith in Teddy. Definitely not Skylar, and I can understand why. But I think that's the difference. That's the thing is, will that happen? But Teddy or Skylar's there, then he may still go for the field goal. Honestly, and not go for it. It's hard to know. If Tua's there, he's going for it. He's not going to kick the field goal.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what's up. I will. I may.
Yeah,
maybe
ask him. I'd be curious because something has changed with Sanders in the last couple of years, and we thought maybe it was the punter, / holder, but now there was a and it doesn't seem like it's any better.
I mean, it was for a little while. It looked like things have been fixed, but then things kind of went sour there. But or is it that we're just feeling it because now the situation has become that it's always in the worst moments. Like, depending on when it happens,
well, Alf said it. He's missed 8 of his last 10 50-plus yard field goals. That's pretty bad. I don't know where that is statistically with other teams or other kickers.
All right,
that's not good.
Here's the tweet.
Oh, you found it? All right, put it up in the private chat. I'll go ahead and feature it.
All right.
All right. So, this is your tweet. Okay. This is regarding Jason Sanders. Okay. So, just pull this up here. But yeah, the thing that I was thinking is that how much of it is just the fact of recency and how much of it is just we're angry because it just happened in the moment that it happened. And so I'll go ahead and I'll pull up the tweet.
We thought we had ourselves a special field goal kicker a few years ago. I think everybody thought that. The team clearly thought that because they paid him that way.
Jason Sanders has missed 10 field goals and 2 missed PATs in his last 22 games. He had missed 12 field goals and 1 PAT in the previous 48. So, but you know what? And this is something that I will
maybe it's climate change. I'm going to go with that.
I mean, wasn't it windy at the Jets game a little bit?
It's
always windy. I don't know, man. I'm just trying to come up with like why that happens all of a sudden.
Is Danny Crossman a downgrade to Darren Rizzi?
I would say yeah, but Danny Crossman's he's a good special teams coach. Like he has a good reputation.
I don't know, man. This special teams that we haven't covered well. We've punted well, but I don't think that has anything to do with anybody. But Morstead is still a really good punter. I mean, he's punted us out of a few bad situations.
He also punted us into a bad one.
the butt punt. I know the butt punt, but that kick that free kick he did could have been the difference between winning and losing that game. I mean, it honestly could have been. But besides Morstead, I mean, what do we have to celebrate from special teams?
Kind of reminds me.
We got some of the fastest dudes there. Now I know kickoff returns are almost a thing of the past in the NFL, but we got some of the fastest returners that go nowhere. We're struggling to cover. We can't kick field goals. I mean, I don't know. I'm just concerned right now about our special teams. I'm not used to Miami having issues with special teams. We've been lucky, I guess, over the years that we've usually had extremely solid special teams. You know, maybe we've had a punter that isn't great, but I'm just speaking to the unit as a whole and the
That
way
was
they're
Darren
coached.
Rizzi. I really believe that.
Yeah,
and
but
and people who listen, there have been coaches who have had great reputations.
he's in Green Bay
and
still, I assume, or is he somewhere
Rizzi,
else?
no, he went to New Orleans.
Oh, I thought he went to Green Bay.
And I thought he had a shot at the head coaching job, but whatever. What do I know?
So he went to New
But-
Orleans. Is he still there in New Orleans, or did he follow Campbell over to Detroit?
No, I'm pretty sure he's still in New Orleans.
That's the second person you need to call. Get on the phone with
No,
Rizzi.
he's still the special teams
All
guy.
right,
with
we'll
the
get him
Saints.
back in Miami. Louis.
Yeah, that's what I want to do. It's like,
counting
can
on
we
you.
pay him to come back here and be the special teams guy in Miami? That would be great.
Louis,
Listen,
make that
and the
happen.
reason I was going to bring it up, because there was a time, once upon a time, the Miami Dolphins hired John Benton to be their offensive line coach. He had a reputation. He was able to make decent offensive lines out of not so decent players. And he came to Miami, and we thought the offensive line troubles were over. He was going to be our version of Dante Scarnecchi. He was going to fix everything. That did not get fixed. It did not even get close to being fixed. So, like, just because you have a good reputation doesn't make you a good coach. Adam Gase had the best reputation on the face of the planet when he became the NFL, the Miami Dolphins head coach. And we all know where that went. So
Yeah, but that could have been a drug problem or something like that.
Okay.
You mean Adam Gase?
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe it.
Like he went haywire. Like nobody knows what happened with him. You know. But I was just thinking about something with the offensive line. Hudson Hawk, do you remember him? He's
was he
considered
before
one
my
of
time.
he's considered one of the best offensive line coaches in the history of the sport. Okay, he's a 2-time Super Bowl champion. Okay, with the Dallas Cowboys. Okay, he followed Jimmy around everywhere he went. Okay, he was with the Miami Dolphins for 2 years, 2005 to 2007. Do you remember who those years were with?
2000, is that the Saban years?
Yes. Okay. Those offensive lines were absolute dog crap. Okay. And, so it doesn't really, I'm starting to think, a coach can help. Like it can certainly help, but you still need the talent. Look, you watch this team play. Do you think that, look, we have good offensive line coaches. I think Matt Applebaum is completely legit. And when you listen to him talk, you can tell that he knows what he's doing. And there's 6 other guys with backgrounds on the offensive line on this squad. But when you watch our team play, you watch Teron Armstead play. Do you think Teron Armstead needs coaching?
No.
He coaches.
I think he's as good a coach as any coach we probably have when it comes to offensive line.
He doesn't practice, okay?
Yeah, he's
but for all we know, he's sitting by his pool Monday through Saturday, and he just shows up at the field on Sunday
and plays like the best left tackle in football. Most times.
Okay. So sometimes talent is what's necessary. Look, Greg Little played well when he was healthy. He is not healthy. Austin Jackson should be back soon.
Is that really something that we should take comfort in, though, Alf?
We haven't seen him in the system.
He wasn't terrible. I mean, I didn't think he was terrible.
We haven't seen him in the system.
I'm just not buying it. I can't
Look,
get into
Connor
this
Williams
Jackson thing.
I'll say this right now. Connor Williams is a Pro Bowler. And Robert Hunt is not far behind. So you got 3 out of 5 spots pretty much locked down.
Right.
Better
So
than
why
we did
is it
last
that we
year.
still suck? I don't understand.
But we don't suck. I know I saw so much complaining about the offensive line. I just didn't think it was.
I literally have a tweet right now. Trade
terrible.
for O-line or pass rush help or we riot. And that's from Aline Zachary.
I don't feel like the O-line. I know maybe I'm crazy. I just think the Dolphins, for once, they have worse issues in the O-line right now. Honestly, the biggest issue is just health overall. But beyond the health, I think the defense needs to play better.
Yes,
they need to figure some things out. They need to get off the field on third down. If the defense could just figure out how to get off the field on third down, they would help themselves as well as this team quite a bit. That's their biggest problem right now. That's why that's why the Bills had 90 plays. I mean, they'd always Dolphins defense would lock it down when they needed to, and they did that some in the second half against the Ravens. But the reason they were on there for 90 plays is because they couldn't get off the field on third down. And every time they got their hands on the ball, they wouldn't pick it. Like, I know we don't really have a lot of turnovers, but we've had many turnover-worthy plays where we just don't, you know what I mean? We just don't pick
and by
it
the
off.
way, that intentional grounding call that they should have made, which should have given us a safety against Josh Allen, I think that was the 20-play drive that they had. That went for 9 minutes.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So right there, that's 20. There's 20 plays right there.
They got worse. To me, I think they have worse issues than the O-line right now. That's my opinion. I know some people would think I'm crazy and they're obsessed that our O-line's terrible. I promise you it's not, especially when the guys are healthy. I mean, you had both your starting tackles in essence. And not in essence. You had both your out this past game. Both of them. You know, people always talked about, oh my God, the Jets and their tackles, the Jets and their tackles, the Jets and their tackles. Miami ended up playing with, I mean, I don't even know who was playing. Brandon Shell. I mean, we signed that guy like a week and a half ago, right? Am I wrong? And an injured Greg Little at the right tackle. I mean, that's where we were. There was some snaps in the Cincinnati game where we had Coleman playing, and he's a dang practice squad guy. Yeah. Like when we have our guys, they're a good offensive line, and they're getting better because they're figuring out the system, especially with the run blocking.
Yeah, once that running game gets going, like this offense is going to take off. But it can only take off when they get their quarterback.
We just need to get healthy. We need Tua back. We need TA back. And TA is worth it even if he misses 4 or 5 games because those other games that he plays, he's so damn good. It's worth it. That's why people say, why do you sign that guy for all that money? Because he's worth it when he's on the field.
And speaking of Tua, Tyler Easton, we still haven't lost the game that Tua actually finished. To get better one, we need you. That might be the most truthful statement that we have heard all night, simply because I think it's safe to say at this point that the offense works with Tua Tagovailoa. I think
absolutely.
I think he's earned his case as being a franchise quarterback.
I agree.
Now,
I agree, but the health is the concern.
Yes,
not the play, the health. You got to be available as a quarterback. I understand. You know, that's just the thing. He's got to be able to protect himself. Like I said, you know, kind of coming full circle towards the beginning of the show. For his team, not just for himself, but for his team, he needs to be smarter with some of these decisions when he's trying to play. I don't want to call it hero ball because Tua's not like that kind of guy, but you got to give up on some plays sometimes, man. Yeah, come on. We need you healthy and on the field for the next play, for the next quarter, for the next game, you know, for us to win.
So, yeah, and the offense is just like I'm telling you. As soon as Tua comes back, like they're pretty much there already. Because I see Cap was asking in the comments, you know, if the offense is bad or not. Well, it's not. You know, the offense is actually really, really good.
Good.
Okay.
Yeah.
When Tua left, they were 4th in passing. Okay. At one point, they were number 1 in passing. As of right now, Tua hasn't played in a game and a half, and they still are the 3rd ranked offense on 3rd down in the entire NFL. They're the 2nd ranked offense in the entire NFL on 4th down. Okay. But let's forget 4th down because that could be skewed on a couple of plays. But they're the 3rd best offense on 3rd down in the entire NFL.
Behind only Buffalo and Kansas
City. Okay. That's a pretty nice stat. To be 4th in passing, that's pretty good. Okay.
I think that stat you were mentioning was actually 3rd and long. I think it was 3rd and 7 or longer, something like that.
Yeah.
Like that is something to have. Like that, to me, that's the sign of a scary offense. When it's 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9, most of the times before I was just like, well, here comes the 1-yard pass behind the line of scrimmage, hoping we get some good blocking. That's why I still see teams doing that, but not Miami. We're going to throw it 25 yards in the middle of the field with accuracy.
By the way, I heard some people saying
to be able to do that.
I heard some people saying that, and that comment says that it's the same play where, you know, where Teddy got hurt. That was a screen pass. Teddy was just late to get rid of it, but it was a screen that was slow developing. It got blown up because running back got held up on the left side of the line. So that's what that happened right there. And Teddy has to be more aware. He has to know that there's an uncovered rusher on the right side because we're not covering him. Like, you know, it's.
Well, it was interesting because we saw in week 1, we saw them doing more of that play action kind of bootleg stuff. And Tua just I mean, it wasn't handling it that well. So they
Hmm.
seem to go away from that. And you guys were wondering, I was wondering the same thing. Well, I wonder if they'll install some more of that for Teddy. Maybe Teddy handles it differently. Of course, we didn't get to see. So I don't know. I know that's stuff that Mike McDaniel would like to do more of. I'm just not sure that we will, because I'm not sure how well Tua does with that. And of course, we don't know who the quarterback's going to be this Sunday. So, so who knows?
That kind of makes doing predictions hard, and that's the fun thing. We haven't even done that part yet. We always end.
Well,
the
it's
show with-
124, so
Yeah, I know. We're
say
at
we
124.
get to our predictions and call it a night.
Yeah, it's in a long show. But
When I say 124, I mean an hour and 24 minutes as well.
Yeah, it's been a long show, but you know what? There's a lot to talk about. Like, we can't squeeze it all into one show. I wish we could honestly do more than one show a week, but I know we can't commit to that much.
No, you don't. Yeah, don't commit me to more than one.
All right, let's go ahead and do this then. So you know how the rules go by now. The underrated player for the Vikings game, overrated player for the Vikings game, MVP for the Vikings game. Who's going to be? I'll go with you first, Alf. I'll give Ron some time to think about the question.
Okay, overrated. I think Teddy Bridgewater, because I think he's going to play. Okay. And underrated, like I'll give you one.
Your surprise player.
Oh, it has to be a surprise player.
That's why it's underrated. It's like the guy that the way I say underrated is that it's the guy that is gonna do something, but you don't think he's gonna do something. It's like the surprise player. It's like, oh, I didn't see that coming.
So Connor Williams doesn't count, right? So
and he can be whoever you want. I don't care.
Yeah, you can pick anybody.
I want to say Mike Gesicki, because Viking linebackers. Let me see who's healthy on the Vikings.
Is this finally going to be the game? We've been predicting a Mike Gesicki breakout game. Feels like for the past 3 weeks.
I'm done predicting Mike Gesicki breakout game. I'm done predicting Jalen Phillips breakout game. I'm done predicting Javon Holland breakout game. I'm over predicting those 3 guys to break out.
Yeah, but
they'll break out when they break out. But I'm not predicting.
If you keep predicting it, and then all of a sudden it happens, you look like a genius. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that dead clock is right twice a day.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm looking at their week 7. Yeah, they play
nut.
Jordan Hicks. They're going to play Eric Hendricks. Yeah, they're slow on that end. And Harrison Smith is going to be pretty much in center field. So Cameron Bynum might play a lot. Man, Gesicki better do something, man.
I mean, we don't have any tight ends right now. Smythe is hurt.
Yeah, so maybe the
Hunter
is
maybe untrustworthy right now. Hunter Long's hurt. Ethan Carter's hurt.
Because Ethan Carter was such a great, huge contributor when he was healthy.
Well, what I'm just saying is who's left to be tight end? We're gonna be like run 11 personnel the entire time. That's not a bad one, Gesicki. That's a really good one, actually. I mean,
and what's the last one?
The
MVP.
MVP, I'm going to say Robert Hunt and Connor Williams, co-MVP, because I think if you watch this Jet game, their work on that offensive line was noticeable, and they were opening up serious holes for Raheem Mostert. I think that the running game gets rolling. One thing you can say about this team, okay, we don't know if they can win games without Tua. Okay, because the last time we saw them win without Tua was against the Texans with Jacoby Brissett. Okay, the Texans are terrible.
The Texans,
yeah, but it was at home. They've won 8 in a row at home. That's going to be a raucous crowd. Minnesota does not travel. Okay, I think that they're going to ride the home crowd and a running game to a victory.
Okay, Ron. I know you've listed off your guys you're not going to predict, so
yeah, I know, right?
And if you need a score, I'll give you a score.
Oh yeah, the score. Alf, go ahead.
Let's call it 27-23.
Who?
Okay. In favor of Dolphins or
Dolphins?
Oh,
okay, Dolphins.
All right.
Yeah, I really believe. Look, I'll make a prediction right now on your show. Okay, Dolphins will not lose a home game the rest of the year. They'll go undefeated at home this season.
If Tua plays, I agree with. I can see that happening.
Well, I expect them to play pretty soon. All they got to do is just try to survive this game, I think.
All right.
All right. So
Mr. Kenneth, your turn.
so my underrated player. So that's the guy who doesn't do as well as we hoped, right?
No, that's that's overrated.
Oh, that's my overrated player.
Overrated means you expect more than you get. Underrated means you get more than you thought.
So I'm gonna go overrated. I might have said him before too, but again with Brandon Jones, man, I don't know. He's been okay. He hasn't really taken the steps forward that I'd like to.
Jones. That's who he is.
I don't know. He's not that good.
He's blitzing and he's in the box.
Please, he's not Rashad Jones. Maybe his skill set is similar, but he's not even close to
Rashad Jones was at his best in the box and jumping balls. That's what he was doing. He really can't cover. Good. He doesn't cover.
Yeah, but he was really good. Brandon Jones isn't at that level. My underrated guy, right? Is that what it was?
Yes,
yeah, the underrated.
The guy who you don't expect but get more out of than you thought.
Yeah, so you don't expect to get more out of. Interesting. Yeah, it's tough.
That's because that's what makes my show unique. I don't make the easy questions.
Yeah, no, you don't. I'm gonna go Edmonds. I think Edmonds kind of gets in
something out of Edmonds.
I think we're gonna get more out of Edmonds this time. That's my prediction. And my MVP, I'm gonna go Teddy.
You think Teddy blows up?
Yeah, I think Teddy has a good game.
Well, he's playing against the team that drafted him.
Yeah.
And last week he was going to play against the team that traded him, so 2 revenge games in a row.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Well, he wasn't allowed to get revenge.
Yeah, I know he wasn't allowed to get revenge. So
and
maybe it's revenge for the revenge.
I'm going to be hopeful that X and TA and Teddy all play. In that case, I feel the Dolphins will win. If those guys are out, if it turns out that X is going to be out again, and TA is going to be out again, and Teddy definitely going to play, there's no way I picked the Dolphins. Sorry, I wouldn't. But as long as those guys are playing, I'll go Dolphins 27-20.
Okay. Well, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pick my guys. Ron, I'm going to go against you a little bit here. My overrated guy is Chase Edmonds. I just
nice.
Like for real, man. Like Chase Edmonds has done nothing aside from blocking, I guess, as long as he's been here. Like he got a couple of goal line touchdowns, and after that, he has been invisible as a pass catcher, as a running back.
That's the thing too. I don't understand what's going on and why we're not using him more out of the backfield. That's the big thing.
Passes. That's why.
Yeah, I'd like to. I mean, he's really good.
You don't
when
trust
he catches
the guy who's dropped the last 3 passes.
They need to trust him
to catch the football.
They need to trust him. I think they need to do more with that.
Nah, you want to do something? Let Raheem Mostert catch passes out of the backfield for real. At least with him, if he drops it, it's like, oh well, that wasn't in his skill set. But Raheem Mostert, whenever he has the ball in his hands, something good happens. So he's actually going to be my underrated player. It's like I'm not going to pick him for MVP, but doggone it, man, Raheem Mostert. I think he could very well get another 100-yard rushing game. Like he's a lot stronger than I thought he was. Like I thought it was just speed that was his gimmick. He's pushing, he's shoving, he's not going down.
And he knows this offense so well, like better than maybe any other player on the team. Any other, offensive player on the team. So besides maybe Sherfield and Craycraft. Yeah,
so quite frankly, Raheem Mostert's my underrated player. My overrated player is Chase Edmonds. I just as far as I'm concerned, Chase Edmonds. It's sad. It's sad to think this. I feel like Myles Gaskin is gonna beat him, and it's like I can't get rid of this guy. He keeps coming back like a bad rash. It's like, he can't get rid of him. But whatever. Listen, if he produces, he produces. I can't argue with it. My MVP for the game, as stereotypical as it is, listen, Tyreek Hill. He's the only one that failed attempt at a flea flicker to Skylar Thompson. And somehow still Tyreek was able to get positive yards out of that. That should have been any other circumstance. That should have been a 10-yard loss.
Yeah, 99% of players, that's a loss. It's only because, Tyreek and a couple other players in this league actually turned that into positive yards.
Alf, you pose this question. Is he the best player the Dolphins have had as far as skill positions?
Yes. Yeah,
like ever, right?
So that means better than Ricky Williams. Well, look, better than Paul Warfield.
I can only go by the guys that I saw play. He's better than Mark Clayton, and Mark Clayton is the best.
Alf, isn't that everybody though? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. No, it's not everybody. I'm not that old.
Come
All
on,
right.
man. I saw you in the stands in the 72 undefeated team.
Bro, I'm not gonna lie. I barely
Yeah.
remember Ricky Williams. I was a kid. Okay, it's like
Oh, that's crazy to me because I was
barely.
I was
not like I've
Now,
never
Ricky-
seen him.
full
But
fledged adult during the Ricky Williams days.
Look, I think Ricky Williams was absolutely awesome. Okay, and he was the rushing champion that one year. But Tyreek, look, we haven't even scratched the surface on all the things that Tyreek can do on this offense. We haven't put out his run packages yet. Okay, that's coming. All
Second
right?
half of the season, and that'll be a whole new offense.
second half of
Yes.
the season, we get the
Didn't
Deebo Samuel
McDaniel do
stuff.
that previously? Where all
Yeah,
of
he
a
did-
sudden,
he
second
did
half
that.
of the season, he starts running all this new stuff that they never
With
saw in
Deebo
the first
Samuel.
half.
With
Yeah.
Deebo Samuel.
Yeah, so it's coming. Like we haven't
Yeah,
even
we keep
tapped
acting
into
like
the
Deebo
potential yet of
Samuel is like this
offense.
premier athlete. Like, bro, Tyreek Hill doing what Deebo does looks even better than Deebo. I'm sorry. Like, we're acting like, oh, if we could only get our Deebo Samuel, y'all, you have Tyreek Hill. What more do you want? So, we'll end on this one for Cap for Life because he was late and I want to give him some attention. Let me ask you all three of a question. If I were to bet with you $500 that we would win the next 3 games, would you take that bet? Me? No, I'm not a betting man. Although I do go to PricePicks.com. Make sure you use the promo code.
Not with our health issues. There's no way.
Well, with our health issues, you can't. But if
Yeah.
you could guarantee me some odds on that, and I know that Tua is coming back maybe next week, then yeah, I would take it.
We
'Cause
have
then-
better edge for that, don't we?
Yeah, 'cause maybe Better Edge might have that parlay for you to be able to take the next 3 weeks. Okay.
So you can take $500 Cap for Life and throw it on.
I will say this: Teddy plays. There's a lot suggesting that Miami is a pretty good play against Minnesota on Sunday. Okay, they're 13-3 against the spread. Their last 16 games at home, as home underdogs, they're undefeated the last 7 times that they've been a home underdog. Okay, whenever they play against a team with a winning record, I think they're 7-1 against the spread the last 8 times. That includes a game against Buffalo. All right, so Dolphins are in a good spot, but they need just some general health, and they can't have the spotter take out the starting quarterback and have you throw away your entire game plan on play number 1. Okay, that can happen.
Yeah,
that doesn't happen. I think they're going to have enough to try to eke this one out.
Yeah, I think at home, I think it makes the difference. So, and of course, again, it's going to be hot. The Minnesota Vikings are Minnesota is freaking cold. I don't think it's going to be an issue as far as the heat. Like, hopefully this time, the Vikings.
I don't think it'll
cramp
be
up and
hot
we
like
don't.
it was in the Buffalo game, though. I think the weather's cooled off some since then.
I mean, listen, man, the reason I think part of it was because, again, the defense was fried because they were there 90% of the game. That if it had been
Their
more
own fault.
equal, I don't think they would have been. I don't think it would have been nearly as bad.
Keep your hands on the ball a few more times and get off the field on 3rd and long, and you won't be there 90 plays.
All right. Anyway, so that's going to be it for this show. Thank you all so much for hanging in there for the whole hour and 40 minutes almost that we've been on. But before I go, just one more time to emphasize, prizepicks.com. It is the daily fantasy sports league that you can go ahead and check out. Just use the promo code 5. That's FIVE. You can choose the over or under on any different player that you want. If you want to choose the over on Patrick Mahomes throwing 300 yards, which pretty much he does every single game, or if you want to pick the over on Raheem Mostert running for like 60 yards, I honestly think that might be a safe bet from here on out because Raheem Mostert being the running back for the Miami Dolphins, absolutely solid pick as far as I'm concerned at this point. And as for receptions, Tyreek Hill the over, I think that's a pretty good bet too. We're going to go ahead and call it here. Once again, thank you everybody so much for joining us. It has been a fantastic time as always. Ron, thank you for coming, looking snazzy in your suit jacket. Is that going to be a regular thing from now on?
No, I just wanted to feel smarter today since I was talking about things I really don't know that much about, like concussions and head injuries.
Alf, that
I
means
wanted to be like the rest of the Twitter doctors out
Look,
there.
I'll listen. If you wear a suit next time, I will wear a suit. Alf, will you wear a suit if I wear a suit and Ron wears a suit?
We ain't getting no
Sure.
Alpha in a suit.
Yeah, I'll wear a suit too. Sure.
Okay, there you go. Boom. We're gonna be
So
matching.
I got a suit with a PlayStation shirt on. There you see.
It doesn't matter. It's the suit jacket that makes the difference. The suit jacket makes anything look formal.
There
So,
you go.
If we all, like, I want to hear an agreement now. If we win against the Vikings, everybody needs to wear a suit.
Okay, I'll
Like,
do
we
it.
need to get all dressed up, shave, do whatever we got to do, make ourselves look good. We're gonna be talking. We're gonna be the real talking about how amazing.
If they win that game, man, and Tua comes back for Brian Flores week, what a fun week that's going to be.
Oh yeah, it is.
Because I can tell you right now, the Steelers don't stand a fucking chance in that game.
Yeah, and it's at
Okay.
home too.
Yeah, it's at home on a Sunday night.
Yeah.
So that's going to be kind of like a celebration. If they could win on Sunday, man, it makes all the difference. You're 4-2, and you essentially have a coronation on your own field the next Sunday. It's going to be like.
I hope Tua fights tooth and nail with Mike McDaniel. Coach, you've got to let me play for this one. You can't keep me out of this.
I think he'll be back by then.
I think
he'll be back.
Tua goes on field against the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's going to play angry. He is going to be like, let me show you what I'm made of. I can't wait if that happens. I really, really can't.
And it'll be a showcase game. That's consistently the highest rated game of the week in football. So it's a national game, Sunday Night Football. If the Dolphins are 4-2, the sacrificial lamb Pittsburgh Steelers come in here, Dolphins can smoke them. And it's basically, it's a coronation. It's like, hey, look at us. We're a playoff team. Remember us? Now you do. Now you know who they are.
And
but go get this one.
I know Tua would never do it. He would never ever do it. But maybe Tyreek will do it on his behalf. Just kind of look right. I want Tua to look right and dead in the eyes of Brian Flores on the sideline. Maybe after breaking a run or something, and just
after he throws a touchdown.
Yeah, just being
just stare at him. Just stare over at him.
Like,
yeah,
hey,
but Tua's not
man?
that. All of us would do that.
No, I know Tua's not the kind of guy. I know he would never do it.
I know
he would never do it.
But Tua's not like that.
But I want Tyreek to do it on his behalf, man. I want somebody to be right for us, dead in the eye, and say, "Look what you tried to do to this kid, and now he's killing you." Like
exactly.
I want that more than anything, man. I really do. All right, listen, we're talking about the Steelers and it's Vikings week. All right, thank you all so much.
We're looking past the Vikings. Is that what's going on?
Thank you everybody for joining us. Al, thank you. Ron, thank you. Manny, thank you. Wherever you are, we will see you all next time.
See you.